So here's our little Pope figure. And here's we're going to put little lowly normie Roman Catholic guy here. Now, a Pope figure decides one day that it is time for an infallible declaration. Now, he doesn't just simply cite in the document that it is infallible, which would make it pretty easy for everybody, wouldn't it? No, what he does is he says that with full apostolic authority from the chair, right? Here, he's going to be proclaiming it in his proclamation bubble. I decree blah, 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 blah. And then later he issues an encyclical that helps interpret this. And then later there's, I don't know, another, the Congregation for the Doctrine of the Faith issues a proclamation that helps interpret this. And then later there's another, I don't know, papal, whatever. It doesn't matter. Just come up with all the different layers and levels. PC, papal, claim, clarification. Papal, claim, clarification. Now, let's say this is how Roman Catholicism works. I'm not joking, right? This is really how it works. Okay. Now, what is necessary for something to be ex cathedra, from the chair? Well, it's for the whole universal church. It's proclaimed with full apostolic authority, right, from the chair. And supposedly, I'll put a inverted cross on him here, since they love those inverted crosses in Rome, just because of Peter. Yeah, right. Now here's Mr. Lowly little Catholic guy here, and I'm not joking. This is how comical it is in the world of Rome. About now, how are you going to understand this miasma, which, by the way, cannot actually be understood without being situated within the last 2,000 years of supposed Roman dogma, right? This is on the Catholic view, right? So you need a little bit of context of the last 2,000 years, don't you, to understand from the apostolic seat chair proclamation XXXX, which is also clarified in encyclical BCD, which is also clarified by the Congregation of the Doctrine of Faith, with Ratzinger as its head, supposedly years ago, with also then the papal clarification that comes later down the road. And here's you, lowly little Roman guy, and you think we just need the Pope to solve these questions of theology. It solves it. Does it really? But see, what we've already done is we've introduced the mysterious chair of authority that isn't always made clear when. And yes, Roman Catholics will debate ad nauseum which statements are ex cathedra and which ones aren't, which shows us that this whole nonsense doesn't really do anything like it's supposed to. It doesn't solve the problems it's supposed to. If we're all sitting around for decades debating which ones are the ex cathedra pronouncements, that's because it just moves the problem back a step. Can you not see that? So here's lowly Roman Catholic. Now what does he do? He says, all right, I'm going to interpret this. So in his mind, he's got to be sure that the proper interpretation of all this layers of gobbledygook is properly entering into his mind and interpreted correctly. Now, guess what every Roman Catholic will tell you to do in this process? Oh, you can't just do this. This is kind of Protestant, bro. It's kind of Protestant going directly to these papal proclamations, assuming that you can figure this out. Oh, you also need to, before you can do that, you need to go talk to your local priest, because your priest is there, Father so-and-so, Father Bruce is there to help you. No. You need to go first to Father Bruce, who will then interpret this for you to help you. This is how it really works, right? But now, wait a minute. Father Bruce is less than Orthodox, right? He's less in the Roman Catholic sense. He's less than Orthodox. We've all been complaining about Father Bruce for so long for having X, Y, Z heresy, right? So how do we know that Father Bruce is going to help us with this? Well, he's probably not. So now we're going to have to X out Father Bruce because we've decided he's not Orthodox. So we're going to have to go over here to Bishop Williamson in the SSPX, who's over here with his rival group, Maybe Bishop Williamson can help us out because he's faithful to tradition and he's not afraid to talk about conspiracy subjects. So now we're going to X out Father Brith. We're going to go over here to Bishop Williamson, and Bishop Williamson is going to help us interpret this. And he tells us, don't worry about any of this because this is not faithful to tradition. Now, wait a minute. You see what we've done here is just a vicious nonsense gobbledygook circle of trying to figure out the very thing that this was supposed to solve for us. But it doesn't, does it? And Vatican II makes that abundantly clear, that you are in no better spot than the person that you make fun of as Orthodox. Yeah, you don't have a pope. You don't have a way to determine what the infallible dogma is. Have you actually been in Rome for any number of years? Neither do you. So that's how Roman Catholicism really works. And that's why Orthodoxy says it's a scam. It's a big heresy. And it doesn't solve for you the problems that it pretends to solve. And it doesn't grant the unity that it pretends to grant. I can go to a Novus Ordo chapel that is in full communion with Rome, that has never been excommunicated or rebuked, that will teach me Freemasonry is good, that will teach against Roman Catholic classic doctrines. They'll have a liturgy that's worse than an Anglican liturgy. They'll have Zen meditation services. And that's perfectly okay. And then I can go across the street to a Fraternal Society of St. Peter Church, which is supposed to be the same faith, also in communion with Rome, that has a completely different liturgy and ethos to Zen Buddhist Novus Ordo Church. And then I can go down the road to the Sedevacantist Chapel that says that the other two are complete lunatic heretics. Now, who's right out of all these? And guess what? You can't just say the Pope. The Pope decides.